casket is small. Too small. My family should be here, but they are not. The sky is a flat pewter gray, and the wind carries a chill that cuts through my black dress as though it were paper. I stand at the edge of the open grave, my shoes sinking slightly into the damp earth. The sound of the pulley groans as Caleb's casket begins its descent, and the weight of silence presses down harder than the lowering box. I grip my hands together until my knuckles burn, but nothing steadies the trembling. My boy is gone, and I am standing here alone. The faint vibration in my pocket drags me back from the abyss. My phone. I don't want to look, yet I do. A message from my mother flashes on the screen. Bring the trust documents tomorrow. I read it twice, my vision swimming. Tomorrow? While Caleb's body has not even touched the earth? My chest tightens. The words land colder than the wind. I look up, scanning the rows of empty chairs. There was a time when I imagined those chairs filled with family. My father's hand steady on my shoulder, my mother passing me tissues, my sister whispering words of comfort. Even Melissa, my friend since childhood, should have been here. Instead, the seats are bare, save for one occupied figure. Angela Moore, my elderly neighbor. Her presence stands out like a lantern in a tunnel. Angela steps closer, laying her hand on my arm. The wrinkles on her face fold deeper as she studies me with gentle concern. "You're not alone, dear," she whispers. Her voice has the warmth of a fireplace. She's the one who brought casseroles when hospital nights left me too drained to cook. She's the one who sat with Caleb so I could take a shower or collapse for a nap. She is here, while those who share my blood are not. I make the mistake of opening Instagram, the habit too ingrained. The screen fills with glittering lights and champagne glasses raised high. Victoria beams in a sequined dress, her diamond ring catching the hotel's chandelier light. My parents flank her, smiling widely. "Grand Horizon Hotel, engagement party," reads the caption, posted 20 minutes ago. I stare at their joy, captured at the same moment I was clutching Caleb's hand for the last time. A wave of nausea rolls through me. My throat burns, but I cannot scream here. Instead, I reach into my purse and pull out the action figure Caleb refused to part with, even during hospital stays. The little plastic hero has scratches down one side from years of play. I crouch and set it gently atop the casket as the ropes hold it suspended. "I'll protect what's yours," I whisper. The promise tastes like iron, heavy and absolute. The cemetery worker shifts his weight, waiting. Angela straightens, her back surprisingly firm. "Give her a moment," she tells him, her tone brooking no argument. He steps back, and I nod in silent gratitude. My thoughts wander back to the hospital corridors, to the rhythmic beep of monitors and the antiseptic smell that clung to my clothes. Caleb would squeeze my hand, his small voice steady even when his body shook with fever. "Don't worry, Mom. Superheroes get scared too, but they fight anyway." His courage had outshone my own. The ropes creak as the worker begins lowering me again, and my knees threaten to buckle. The tears come harder, blurring the hole in the ground into a smear of darkness. I feel as if I'm about to fall into it myself. Angela tightens her hold on my shoulder. "That boy loved you more than anything," she says softly. Her words carry no pretense, no judgment. I glance once more at the vacant seats. My parents, my sister, my friend, all gone toasting champagne while I bury my child. I thought grief would be the hardest weight to bear. But this betrayal, carves a wound even deeper. The phone in my hand buzzes again. I don't want to look, but I do. The screen lights up with another message from my mother. "Don't be dramatic, Destiny. This is important for the whole family." My jaw tightens. Family. The same family that could not spare 2 hours to stand by me today. I slip the phone back into my pocket and turn it off. Today is not theirs. It belongs to Caleb and to me. The earth is closing in over my boy, but I will not let them close their hands over what he left behind. The ropes tighten, lowering the casket deeper. The smell of wet soil rises, sharp and raw. A robin flits across the headstones, its red breast aflash against the gray. I fix my eyes on it, grounding myself in that small life still beating. Angela strokes my arm, steady as a stone. I inhale, straighten my back, and force myself to stand without swaying. My grief is a storm, but inside the eye of it, something fierce is taking root. My phone buzzes again. My mother's words chill me. Bring the trust documents tomorrow. They didn't come to the funeral, but they are waiting for me now, with papers on the coffee table. The next morning, the drizzle clings to my windshield as I drive through Oakwood Heights. My grip on the steering wheel is so tight my hands ache. The houses here look postcard perfect, their shutters freshly painted, their lawns trimmed. To anyone passing by, my parents' colonial sale home would seem warm and inviting. But to me, today, it feels like a courthouse, the verdict already written before I arrive. When I step inside, the smell of lemon polish and brewed coffee greets me, oddly sterile, like a hotel lobby. My father, Charles, stands tall in the entryway, his face arranged into something that looks like concern but doesn't quite touch his eyes. "Destiny," he says, as though the funeral yesterday had been a minor inconvenience, as though my son's grave isn't still fresh in the earth. The living room is staged like a boardroom. On the mahogany coffee table, neat stacks of documents lie waiting. My sister, Victoria, sits perfectly composed on the cream sofa, her blonde hair swept into a chignon, legs crossed at the ankle like she's posing for a magazine cover. Beside her, Melissa fiddles with her manicure, refusing to meet my gaze. My mother, Elaine, hovers by the mantel, her hand resting on a family portrait. The four of us smiling stiffly in front of this same house. Dust clings to the frame, and for a moment I see it differently. A performance, not a memory. "We need to reallocate the trust," my father begins, his voice smooth and businesslike. "Victoria will serve as trustee. Sign here." He slides the top document toward me, pen poised. I don't move. My eyes catch a corner of paper sticking out from under the pile. A blueprint. Curiosity wins, and I tug it free. My breath catches. There's a renovation plan, a new kitchen, a pool, even a home theater. All totaling more than $200,000. I lift my gaze slowly. "This is what you've been planning?" Victoria leans forward, her voice calm but dripping with condescension. "Destiny, you're in no state to handle that kind of money." "We're trying to help." Melissa glances up briefly. Her eyes meet mine for a split second, but there's no apology, no solidarity. She looks back down, her silence louder than words. My mother steps closer, her tone syrupy. "Honey, you've always been impulsive. Remember when you wanted to open that boutique after college? Thank goodness your father talked you out of it. You can't risk making mistakes with this much money." The words sting because they're rehearsed lines from my childhood. I remember sketching shop designs in notebooks, only to be told I was unrealistic. Each time I tried to dream, they cut it down, wrapping their judgment as protection. I picked up one of the documents. Legal jargon fills the page, but what I recognize is worse. A competency evaluation form. My father clears his throat. "If you refuse to sign, we're prepared to petition for guardianship. The court understands your grief has clouded your judgment." The room tilts, my knees weaken. They're not just dismissing me, they're painting me as incapable, unfit. My eyes burn, but anger steadies me. "You've been planning this since Caleb got sick," I whisper. Victoria sighs dramatically, as though my grief is an inconvenience. "You're exaggerating. You always exaggerate." My father's tone sharpens. "Don't walk away from this destiny. It's for the family." That word again, family. Where were they when Caleb was hooked to machines, when I sat in hospital chairs with my head in my hands? Where were they when fevers left him trembling and I spoon-fed him broth at 3 a.m? I slipped the blueprint back under the pile and pushed the papers toward him. "I won't sign." My voice shakes, but it holds. Victoria's expression cracks just enough for me to see the fury beneath the gloss. My mother's hand falls from the photo frame. Melissa still won't look at me. I gather the folder into my arms, the papers inside heavy with betrayal. I need time to think, I say, though my decision is already made. Destiny, my father warns, his voice low, the edge I remember from childhood arguments. Don't walk away from this table. But I do. My heels click against the polished wood floor, each step a refusal. I pull the front door closed behind me, the click of the latch sounding like a final gavel. Outside, the drizzle had thickened into steady rain. I breathe it in, cold and sharp, as though it might wash their words off me. My car waits at the curb, and as I climb in, the folder rests on the passenger seat like a shield. I lean my forehead against the steering wheel, the scent of leather filling my lungs. They think I'm fragile, broken, unable to fight. But as the rain drums against the windshield, I feel the first ember of anger glow beneath the ashes of grief. I walk out, clutching the folder to my chest, their voices chasing me. Don't walk away, Destiny. They think I am alone, fragile and weak, but they've underestimated me. The morning after the tribunal in my parents' living room, the rain hadn't stopped. Water streaks down the windows of Richard Donovan's law office, blurring the street outside into a smear of gray and headlights. Inside, everything gleams. Polished wood, leather chairs, shelves lined with books whose spines glow like relics. The air smells faintly of tobacco and old paper. It feels like the opposite of my parents' house. Less like a stage, more like a fortress. Richard greets me with a firm handshake and a solemn expression. He's older than I expected, his hair silver at the temples, his glasses perched low on his nose. I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Walker, he says, and the words don't sound obligatory. They sound real. I slide the folder across his desk. The papers rattle from the tremor in my hands. They want me to sign everything over to Victoria. They've been planning this for months. My voice cracks, but I steady it with a breath. He opens the folder, his eyes scanning each page with quiet precision. His brows draw together when he finds the competency evaluation forms. Guardianship, he mutters, shaking his head. Classic move. But they don't have legal ground if the trust was structured the way I believe it was. I lean forward, desperate. Ethan set it up before he moved overseas. He wanted to make sure Caleb was secure. Richard opens a drawer and pulls out a manila folder with Ethan's name neatly typed on the tab. My breath catches. Inside is a notarized statement, written in Ethan's hand. I read the words through a veil of tears. If the worst should happen, this trust is to provide for Caleb, and if he does not live to use it, for Destiny, who sacrificed everything for him. I press the paper to my chest. Ethan had thought of me even when I hadn't thought of myself. Richard clears his throat gently. Your family has no standing, but they may still try to discredit you in court. We'll need evidence to counter every lie they tell. Later that afternoon, Angela invites me into her kitchen. The room smells of cinnamon and apples. A pie cools on the counter, the crust golden and perfect. She sets a stack of worn notebooks in front of me. I kept these, she says, her voice steady. Every day you spent at the hospital with Caleb. Every night you sat up when he couldn't sleep. Every meal I brought, I wrote it all down. I open a notebook. The entries are simple, almost clinical. March 15, Destiny didn't leave Caleb's side during chemo today. March 28, brought soup. She hadn't eaten since morning. April 4, Caleb asked for his superhero pajamas, and Destiny smiled for the first time in weeks. The words blur as I wipe my eyes. Angela reaches across the table, her hand warm on mine. Melissa can say what she wants. But I saw everything. My phone buzzes. Ethan's parents, Martha and George, are on the line. Their voices break with grief as they apologize for missing the funeral. We were in Europe. We didn't know until it was too late, Martha says. But we want you to know. We'll testify. Ethan was clear. That money was for Caleb and for you. No one else. A tremor of relief shudders through me. I am not alone. For the first time in weeks, the fog of isolation begins to thin. That evening, I walk through my own home, the silence pressing in. I installed the small cameras Richard recommended, one at the front door, another by the back porch. The red lights blinked to life, tiny guardians watching over me. As I set the screwdriver down, I noticed Caleb's old backpack leaning against the wall, still scuffed from school days he never finished. The sight stabs, but I force myself to breathe. Protecting his legacy means standing even when my knees want to buckle. Night falls, and I spread the journals across my dining table, arranging them beside Ethan's statement. Pages of truth, layers of armor. I feel a shift inside me. Faint but undeniable. A current of determination beneath the grief. I brew tea, the steam curling like a promise into the air. Outside, the rain slows to a drizzle. The street lamps glow on slick pavement, the world strangely quiet. My phone lights up. The doorbell camera app flashes a notification. I open it. On the screen, under the pale glow of the porch light, stands Victoria. Perfect hair, perfect coat, a smile that looks carved rather than earned. She glances once at the camera, then straight into the lens, as if she knows I'm watching. Late that night, my doorbell camera lights up. Victoria stands on my porch, smiling as if she owns the place. The sheriff's papers weigh heavier than the coffin I buried last week. Emergency petition for guardianship. The envelope sits on my kitchen table, its edges damp from the drizzle that clung to the sheriff's jacket when he delivered it. My hands shake as I flip through page after page of legal accusations. Words leap off the paper like blows, unstable, unfit, incapable. Each line twists ordinary moments of grief into evidence of incompetence. Melissa's name appears first. My childhood friend, the girl who shared peanut butter sandwiches with me at recess, has signed an affidavit. Her statement describes me as hysterical during Caleb's illness, prone to late-night panic calls, and erratic with medication schedules. I press a palm to my mouth to stop the cry that rises. She was the one I trusted when I fell apart. Now she's turned those private cracks into weapons. Richard listens quietly as I read over the phone. His voice steadies me, low and calm. They'll try to drown you in paper, Destiny. But paper can't erase truth. We'll answer each claim with documented fact. Angela arrives soon after, her old Buick rattling into my driveway. She carries another stack of notebooks, journals she kept during Caleb's treatment. She spreads them across the table, her cursive slanting steady as a metronome. I saw you there, every day. I wrote it down because I knew someday it might matter. I flip open an entry. June 5th. Destiny hasn't left the hospital room in 36 hours. Bought sandwiches. She only took a bite so Caleb would eat too. The words blur as tears sting my eyes, but my heart steadies. Melissa may twist memories, but Angela's records are iron. That night, the war shifts beyond paperwork. My phone buzzes with a notification from the local news site. The headline reads, "Family seeks help for grieving mother." The article features my parents on their sofa, posed beneath that same family portrait I stared at days ago. My mother's eyes glisten with staged tears. "We just want to protect our daughter," she says. My father adds solemnly, "She's been through unimaginable loss. She can't be expected to manage such responsibility alone." On social media, Victoria posts an old photo of us as children, her arm draped around my shoulders. The caption, "Sometimes love means stepping in when someone can't see clearly. Please pray for our family during this difficult time." The comments overflow with strangers praising their bravery and compassion. Each line is a dagger. I scroll until the screen swims, my chest tightens, my pulse pounds. "I am not a rescue machine," I whisper to the empty room. "I also get tired." The words fall heavy, honest. Richard meets me at his office the next morning. His conference room looks like a command center, hospital bills pinned to corkboards, calendars marked with every appointment I attended, affidavits stacked in neat piles. "They've painted you unstable," he says. "We'll counter with precision. Every doctor's note, every school absence, every neighbor who saw you keep going when no one else came." He flips through a file. The hospital administrator confirmed Victoria accessed Caleb's medical records using an old emergency contact form. It's a breach of confidentiality. That alone will hurt their credibility. Angela joins us, settling into a leather chair with her journals balanced on her lap. "Let them say what they want," she declares. "We'll bury them in truth." Her voice carries the same quiet force she used at Caleb's graveside when she told the cemetery worker to wait. As we prepare, the weight of betrayal grows heavier. Melissa, my parents, and Victoria, they've already convicted me in the court of public opinion. But here, with Richard and Angela, I see the beginnings of another court, one that deals in evidence, not appearances. That night, back at home, I set my teacup on the table and opened the doorbell camera feed. The rain has slowed, but the street is slick, reflecting the glow of the lampposts. At 9:48 p.m., the notification chimes. The image sharpens. Victoria stands on my porch, her designer coat buttoned to the collar, her hair gleaming even in the damp air. She doesn't knock, she just waits, lips curved into a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She lifts her gaze to the camera, straight into me, as if daring me to open the door. At 9:48 p.m., my doorbell camera flashes. Victoria stands outside, whispering, "Sign it over, Destiny, or we'll destroy you." "All rise," the bailiff commands, and I rise not just for the judge, but for Caleb's memory. The courtroom smells faintly of varnish and paper, the air heavy with the weight of decades of whispered confessions and verdicts. I sit at the defendant's table, Richard at my side, his pen poised but his face calm, as if carved from stone. Across the aisle, my parents, Victoria, and Melissa cluster together, their attorney standing tall in his expensive suit, confident as though the outcome is already decided. Judge Marion Peabody enters, her silver hair pulled tight into a bun, her gaze sharp as a scalpel. She settles into her chair and glances at the thick folder before her. "These are serious allegations," she says. Her voice carries no softness, only gravity. "I expect evidence, not theatrics." The petitioner's attorney begins. He paints me as a woman undone by grief, erratic and reckless. His words flow smoothly, rehearsed. Financial instability, emotional volatility, inability to manage responsibilities. Each phrase slices me open, laying bare my worst moments. The nights I sobbed in hospital corridors, the mornings I forgot my own medication while fighting to keep Caleb alive. Melissa takes the stand first. Her hands tremble slightly as she swears in, but when she begins speaking, her voice steadies. "Destiny changed during Caleb's illness," she says, eyes fixed on the table instead of me. "She became obsessive, paranoid. She called me at 3 a.m, crying. I feared for her judgment. The words sting. They are true in fragments, but twisted into a weapon." I remember those nights. Caleb burning with fever, my panic spiraling, and Melissa's voice on the phone promising comfort. She has turned my humanity into ammunition. Next, my mother. Tears slide down her cheeks as she clutches a tissue. "We only want to protect our daughter," she whispers, her voice breaking perfectly on cue. "This isn't about money, it's about love." My father nods solemnly beside her, the portrait of dignified sorrow. For a moment, I see the judge's expression soften, and fear curls in my stomach. Then Richard stands. His voice is measured, precise. "Your Honor, what we are seeing is not protection. It is premeditated exploitation." While my client was at her son's hospital bedside for 18 months, these petitioners were preparing to strip her of her rights. He presents a binder, thick with records. Hospital logs show Ms. Walker attended every appointment, every treatment. Financial statements prove she managed expenses with meticulous care. And we have witnesses. Angela takes the stand, her posture straight despite her years. Her voice carries across the room, steady and unshaken. "I watch Destiny care for Caleb every single day. When he couldn't keep food down, she researched recipes until something worked. When he was afraid of treatment, she turned it into a story about superheroes. I never once saw her falter in love or in judgment." The room quiets. Even the petitioners shift uneasily. Richard calls the hospital records administrator next. A middle-aged woman with clipped professionalism testifies. Our system shows Victoria Walker accessed Caleb's medical files using an outdated emergency contact form. This was unauthorized and constitutes a serious privacy violation. A ripple of whispers spreads through the courtroom. Victoria's cheeks flush crimson, though her chin lifts defiantly. Finally, Ethan's father rises, leaning on his cane. His voice is hoarse but certain. My son established that trust to provide for Caleb. And if Caleb did not live to use it, for Destiny, who gave up everything for him. He told me himself, Dad, she'll honor his memory better than anyone. The judge leans forward, her gaze sharpening. The petitioner's attorney fidgets with his tie. Richard lets the silence stretch before producing one final piece. He cues the screen. From the speakers, Victoria's voice fills the room. You think you deserve that money? You were always the burden. Once we have guardianship, we can use the money however we want. Gasps ripple through the benches. My mother's hand flies to her mouth. My father stares straight ahead, jaw clenched. Melissa shifts in her seat, her eyes darting everywhere but mine. I sit frozen, the words echoing, years of being cast as the problem child, the disappointment, the unworthy one. All of it crystallizes in this moment, laid bare for the world to hear. Judge Peabody lifts a hand for silence. Her face is unreadable, but her eyes burn with clarity. The gavel strikes once, the sound reverberating through the chamber. The judge's gavel slams. This petition is dismissed with prejudice, and an investigation will begin into perjury and fraud. The trust is safe, but safety is not enough. Caleb deserves more than silence. He deserves a legacy. 1 week after the judge's gavel struck, I sit at my dining table surrounded not by legal briefs, but by folders of proposals, each one a vision for what Caleb's future might have been and what his memory could still create. The house feels lighter now. Sunlight cuts across the hardwood floor, touching the stack of casseroles from neighbors lined on the counter. Angela's handwriting is scrawled on each label: chicken pot pie, beef stew, baked ziti. These small kindnesses steady me more than words can. Richard comes by with fresh documents. His shoes squeak on the rug as he sets a folder down. If you approve this, he says, the Caleb Walker Foundation will be officially registered. He watches me carefully. I take the pen, my hand steady for the first time in months, and sign. A memorial bracelet with Caleb's initials clinks lightly against the table as I move. The next morning, I stand in Memorial Hospital's pediatric wing. The walls are no longer the pale beige Caleb stared at through weary eyes. Volunteers painted them with oceans and coral reefs, and fish darted between kelp forests. Children laugh in the playroom down the hall, their voices high and bright. A plaque glints beside the nurse's station, Caleb Walker Memorial Wing. My chest tightens, but this time it isn't just grief, it's pride. A young nurse approaches, introducing herself with a smile. I'm Jennifer Abrams. I'm the first recipient of the Caleb Walker Scholarship. I'm specializing in pediatric hematology. She shakes my hand firmly, gratitude brimming in her eyes. Your son's story inspired me. He wanted to be a doctor himself, I manage, my voice soft but sure. The words don't break me, they lift me. Ethan's parents visit often now. Martha helps with fundraising calls, and George shares stories of Caleb with new families. Angela volunteers as coordinator, organizing meals and rides for parents who can't leave their child's bedside. I watch her hand out a schedule, her silver hair shining under the fluorescent lights, and I realize she has become my true family, not because of blood, but because of choice. Months pass and the foundation grows. Families receive grants for housing near hospitals, nurses are trained with specialized fellowships, and children are given chances Caleb never had. With each board meeting, each thank you letter, the bitterness my parents left behind is replaced with something sturdier: purpose. 1 year to the day after the funeral, I return to the cemetery. The path crunches beneath my shoes, leaves scattered like confetti across the ground. Caleb's headstone rises ahead, the granite warmed by autumn sun. I kneel, tracing the letters with my fingertips. The air carries the scent of damp earth and cut grass. A woman approaches, holding the hand of a little girl. Her voice wavers. "Excuse me, are you Destiny Walker?" I nod, standing slowly. "I'm Sarah Mitchell. This is my daughter, Emma." The child peeks from behind her mother's coat, her hair tied back with a pink ribbon. Emma was diagnosed with the same condition as Caleb last year. "The specialist funded by your foundation found a treatment. She's healthy now. Your son's legacy saved her life." Emma steps forward, her eyes clear, her voice small but strong. "Thank you for helping me get better." My throat closes. I crouch, meeting her gaze. "You're very welcome, Emma." Behind her, I imagine Caleb smiling, his superhero pajamas and fierce determination still etched in memory. Sarah squeezes my hand. "You turned your pain into something that saved us. That's rare, that's extraordinary. When they leave, I remain by the headstone." From my pocket, I pull the action figure I once placed on his casket, the one the cemetery worker later returned to me. Its plastic edges are worn smooth from his small hands. I set it gently against the granite. "I kept my promise, Caleb. Your legacy is safe and growing." The sun warms my shoulders. I close my eyes and breathe. A year ago, I walked this same path, bowed under betrayal and loss. Today, I walk it with resolve. As I turn toward the car, I whisper to the wind, the words carried on the rustle of leaves. The family that matters isn't always the one you're born into. It's the one that stands beside you when you need them most. I slide behind the wheel, the morning sun spilling through the windshield, bright and clear. I no longer feel chained by grief. The betrayal left scars, yes, but it also carved out space for something stronger to grow. As I walk back to my car, the morning sun warms my face, and I realize that betrayal gave me scars, but Caleb gave me strength. And I choose strength. Betrayal within a family is one of the deepest wounds a person can carry. It is not just the breaking of trust, but the shattering of the very ground where we once felt safe. Destiny's journey shows that even in the darkest nights of grief, a light can still emerge from within. Her parents and sister chose convenience and comfort over compassion. They chose wealth and appearances over love and presence. But she discovered that family is not always defined by blood. True family is found in loyalty, sacrifice, and those who stay when it hurts most. Angela, Ethan's parents, and the community, they became her new circle of strength. They showed her that even when those closest betray us, others will rise to hold us steady. It is a reminder that kindness, even from strangers, can outweigh cruelty from kin. And it is proof that grief, when paired with resolve, can be transformed into legacy. Caleb's trust was not just money. It was a promise of the future, a vessel of memory, a testament of love. By protecting it, Destiny proved that her worth could never be measured by her parents' judgment. She showed that dignity is defended not with revenge, but with truth, and she chose to honor her son, not by clinging to pain, but by creating hope for others. Her fight revealed something universal. Boundaries are not acts of rebellion, but acts of survival. Saying no to manipulation is saying yes to self-respect. Walking away from toxic family ties is not weakness, it is courage. And in choosing herself, she chose Caleb too, because his legacy demanded nothing less. For anyone who has been silenced, doubted, or dismissed by their own family, Destiny's story is a call to rise. It is a reminder that you are not defined by the cruelty of others. You are defined by the love you give, the truth you protect, and the courage you show when the world expects you to break. Yes, betrayal leaves scars, but scars can become maps, guiding us toward new beginnings. Yes, grief leaves shadows, but shadows prove that light is still nearby, and yes, family can wound us, but we are free to build a new family out of trust, loyalty, and love. Her story lingers because it is not just about loss, it is about justice, about healing, about choosing strength. and it leaves us with one question to carry in our hearts. When everything you trusted is stripped away, what will you choose to protect? Your pain or your peace? Have you ever experienced this? When family betrayed your trust and you had to find the courage to walk away. If you enjoyed the story, leave the number 1 and subscribe to the channel Family Fallout Stories to hear the next story.